Hello and welcome to Avoiding Big Brother. Today I'm going to discuss the difference between phishing and spear phishing cyber attacks. As I've explained before on this channel, phishing is a form of social engineering. The act of trying to persuade someone to do something in the interests of the attacker rather than benefiting the victim. For both phishing and spear phishing, the perpetrator is trying to convince the target that they represent a reputable organisation or government department. The goal will be to steal confidential information or install malware such as spyware that can collect information from a device. But spear phishing is so much more sophisticated and effective than phishing. It is why professional APT groups sponsored by governments frequently turn to this method of attack, unlike an unskilled criminal who may use phishing hoping that someone would be gullible enough to be fooled. I'll explain phishing first, the simpler of the two methods to implement. Phishing has a general target. The hacker may use email harvesting software to create a list of email accounts to spam. There is no specific target. The emails will be unpersonalized, perhaps beginning with something like "Dear Customer" rather than the person's name. A phishing email is used to try and catch someone out, someone who would fall for the trick. As the emails are so basic, the success rate of phishing emails is normally very low. For those of you living in the UK, your email inbox or spam box may get the odd phishing email like I do from time to time. They are easy to spot. They will be an email pretending to be from a bank like NatWest or Lloyds Bank, for example, or it might be a government organisation such as HMRC claiming that they owe you a tax rebate. In either of those scenarios, most people would know that the organisation would not contact them by an email. Contact would be made through an official letter posted to their address. The phishing emails that might have a little more success are the ones that appear to be from a popular e-commerce site. Amazon is a popular choice for cyber criminals. They craft emails that appear to be from the Amazon store, stating there is a problem with an account. Criminals know that many people have an Amazon account, so it is likely that there will be higher response numbers. Here is an example of an Amazon phishing email. Notice that the message starts with "Dear Amazon Customer," not very personal, and would be the giveaway that the email is fake. The body is being crafted with a convincing story, in this case that the billing information did not match that of the card, and that the account had to be placed on hold. The email is using the normal branding so it appears professional, such as the logo and the Amazon gold colouring for the update button. This kind of campaign is not going to catch many people out. Firstly, not everyone will have an Amazon account. Secondly, the person may not have purchased anything recently and not used their credit card. Thirdly, the email does not start with their name. Amazon's emails will be automated and would definitely include your name. Fourthly, if the potential victim is super smart, then they would hover over the Update Now button and be able to see the destination address in the bottom left-hand corner of their browser. This address is going to be different from an Amazon address. Still, if the cyber criminal sends out thousands of spam emails, then they have a chance of some success, albeit a tiny percentage. Now moving on to the more advanced method that the experienced hackers are going to use, spear phishing. This method is personalized and it targets a person rather than looking for generic targets. And it might not be a person that is the target, it might be an organization or business. But a person working for that organization or business might be the way in to the target. Cybercriminals and state-sponsored hackers are seeking to steal credentials with this kind of attack. They can do this in two ways, either convincing the target recipient to give away login credentials, or by installing malware when the recipient opens an attachment included with the email. So the first step of the attack is to identify people working in the organization or company that could be a target. These people tend to have authority in the organization, perhaps in charge of information or have authorization of payments or overseeing the IT infrastructure of the organization. The next stage of a spear phishing attack is collecting information, and this is where websites like this one can help. LinkedIn is a social media platform for professionals. A social engineer or hacker can collect information by finding the target's profile on a website like this. Most companies will be listed on LinkedIn, and they connect to their employees who may have a profile on the platform too. A skilled attacker can find these profiles and collect more information about the target. They can also use other social media platforms like Facebook to find out who the target's friends are, what their activities are outside of their work, and associates too. This stage is all about building a profile of the person, understanding their behaviour and their jargon. It's a bit like a con artist learning how to walk the walk and talk the talk. The last stage of a spear phishing attack is to craft the email, an email that will convince the target. So the email will pretend to be a senior person in the organisation or a colleague. So the from field of the email is going to be an email address similar to the real email address of someone working for the company. The subject field would be similar to one that the target would usually receive, such as notification, password expired. The main body of the email, the message, will be created to raise a sense of urgency that will persuade the victim to act immediately. So in the scenario of alerting the recipient of a password expiry, the message may ask for the recipient to click a link to reset the password for login. The link might take the victim to an external page on a fake website, perhaps something that looks very similar to the victim's organisation's website. And there the victim will enter login credentials into a form thinking that they will reset the password. Another tactic, if the attacker's objective is to install malware onto the victim's device, is to craft a convincing email that has an attached document that contains malware coding. So a common example would be an invoice sent to an accounts manager, but the invoice document has malware coding inserted into a macro, which is executed once the victim goes ahead and opens the document or clicks on a macro message to continue. Fake invoices are pretty common, especially if it is for a substantial payment demand, and macros are commonly used by businesses and organisations, which unfortunately can be weaponized by a hacker. Obviously, the target working in the accounts department is going to act with urgency and look at the invoice to see what the charges are. Another devious tactic used by criminals. Criminals may also target the CEO of a company, Chief Executive Officer. This is known as whaling. They target CEOs knowing that they have a high level of authority, especially when authorizing transactions for business deals. Moving on, the final stage of the attack. It is most likely that the hacker will not need to do anything at this stage. In the case of asking the victim to enter their credentials into a form, the hacker will not have to do a thing. Simply just wait for the credentials to be sent through the form on the fake website. The credentials will be sent to the back end of whatever web application the attacker is using. In the case of malware dropped onto a machine, a lot of programs tend to be spyware and keyloggers that are automated and send back collected data to the hacker's server. I've done several videos on the channel about how to defend against phishing, so I won't be including tips in this video. Just do a search on the Avoiding Big Brother channel about phishing and macro attacks to understand how to defend against them. There are also lots of other channels that can help you or your business protect yourself on YouTube. I just wanted to publish this video so that viewers understand how the organised ransomware groups and state-sponsored APT groups are so successful. They don't play it by the numbers. Perhaps some of these hackers used basic phishing techniques in their early hacking days, but have since honed their skills and have effectively become human hackers, not just the technical hacker you might see in films and television dramas depicting someone sat at a computer typing hundreds of lines of code into a machine. Sometimes all the attacker needs is a way with words. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.